We've got some new leaks for the upcoming Brie Larson film, The Marvels, courtesy of YouTuber Mr. H Reviews. He dropped the leaks in response to this absolutely heinous marketing piece for The Marvels, where they were clearly trying to imply that this has something to do with Avengers Endgame, similar to how they blew up the first Captain Marvel to over $1 billion by putting the character in a post-credit scene for Infinity Wars and then releasing the film in between Infinity War and Endgame. So he did not take too kindly to that, and then he decided to release what his source informed him was basically the entire plot of the Marvels. You can check that out over here on his website, which we have on the article. But this is basically what happens. You have this Ben character is obsessed with Carol, and Carol is obsessed with her. It's made clear, and for those who don't know, the Ben is a gender and race swapped character from the comics. Very obscure character that wasn't really in many issues, but they decided to race and gender swap anyways. Instead of just making a new character, they decided to humiliate their own fans by race and gender swapping them anyways. Nevertheless, it's made clear Carol doesn't trust Ben, and it's also made very clear that Carol isn't wrong for mistrusting her because she is the villain, which we've seen in the trailer. Mr. H Reviews reveals that Ben is not some kind of minor faction of the Kree or some like radical zealot like we saw with Ronan in Guardians of the Galaxy. She's actually the leader of the Kree following the demise of the Supreme Intelligence at the hands of Carol Danvers. And she is the leader, and her villain story is that she actually witnessed Carol destroy the Supreme Intelligence, and then it's revealed that the Kree referred to Carol as the Annihilator or something along those lines. Anyways, and she obviously doesn't like that name. Ben has also one of the bangles that Kamala has, so Kamala has the other. No specific way or explanation as to how Ben has it. Apparently, she's using it, however, to power a weapon, and she needs both bangles eventually. There's a funny line where this villain Ben demands to know how Kamala got such an ancient and powerful artifact, and Kamala responds, and I quote, "My grandma sent it to me in the mail." Ha ha ha, it's so funny. It wasn't explained in the rough cut that my source saw, but almost immediately Monica, Carol, Kamala began switching places every time they used their powers. Apparently, it was just not explained. From there, you kind of give some background. Monica is working on the space station. It's called the Peak with Nick Fury. Kamala is at her house, and then Carol is trying to sneak into a Kree Skrull peace summit because she doesn't trust Ben, who is, of course, the leader of the Kree, and she's there. I guess Carol's stealth infiltration doesn't really go well because she's now fighting Kree soldiers, and then when she starts using her power, she begins switching spots with Kamala and Monica, and the Kree soldiers apparently start switching with her as well. So at one point, Carol is on Peak Sword's headquarters with Fury, while Kamala is at the Peace Summit, and Monica is fighting Kree soldiers in the Khan living room. While the Khan family tries to hit them with brooms, fights them, runs around screaming. It's supposedly a very funny sequence. And then Mr. H Review says sounds like crap to me, but never mind. It sounds absolutely awful and cringe and terrible. Because Kree soldiers getting hit by brooms is so funny. No, they would just blast them and kill them. But we already have the precedent set by James Gunn, where Krees can just be distracted by ridiculous stunts like dance-offs, instead of that like literally stops them from completing their entire life's mission, which is destroying planets, or at least destroying Xandar. Anyway, at the end, everyone, Fury included, ends up in the Khan living room because of all the swapperoos going on. However, Kamala's not there, and the ending of the scene is in Miss Marvel is that direct shot from the Marvels. I don't really know what he's talking about there because I haven't seen the Miss Marvels, but for those who have, maybe you know what he's talking about. So Carol leaves the house and tries to fly off, but they switch again, and suddenly Kamala is falling out of the sky. We've seen this in the trailers. Fury tells Monica she has to fly to save her. Apparently, Brie Larson's Carol can't fly because that's using her powers, but Monica can fly. Allegedly, even though it's using her powers, who knows, without switching. Again, yeah, doesn't really make any sense. Looks like they're breaking a lot of their rules already. It's not surprising. Marvel literally doesn't have any rules anymore, so they break them all the time, and they just expect the audience to suspend their disbelief. However, what happens, as I talk about relentlessly here, is Tolkien describes this on fairy stories. Once you are no longer immersed, you are now looking outside of it, and you see the aborted project for what it is, and it basically is crap, and you're no longer into it, and it's just a bad story. It's a bad story now. Marvel seems to repeat this over and then wonders why no one is watching their movies anymore. Monica Rambeau resists Fury, telling her to fly up because she doesn't know how to control her flight yet. Fury yells, and I quote, "Come on, black girl magic." Yeah, that's a line. He says people are paid millions to write this. It's absolutely garbage. Terrible. Monica flies up to save Kamala. However, she loses control on the way down. Everyone is screaming, and at the last second, Monica and Carol switch, and Carol is able to stop before they hit the ground. Fury screams as they're dropping, and at the last second, it's just Carol. Supposedly a very fun sequence, but yeah, it sounds terrible. Mr. H reviews. I agree with you. It sounds like crap. I agree. Next, he goes on and says, Carol, Monica, and Kamala go off to investigate Dar-Ben, sticking together because, of course, they can't control the switching again. Again, it's not explained except for some weird allusion to how their powers are all similar or variations of each other. Sounds like a weird cop-out, but never mind. And then they discover what Dar-Ben's goals are. She's basically using a weapon to create unstable portals that somehow steal resources, water, air, and like sun of whole planets. I don't know. Can't really steal the sun from a whole planet because it's outside the planet. But this is Marvel we're dealing with now. Not the smartest cookies, right? She sends the resources to the destroyed Hala to rebuild it, if you're unfamiliar with what Hala is, that is the home world of the Kree. She's already destroyed one planet at the beginning of the film for its atmosphere. She destroys the second at the Kree Skrull peace talks, and then she goes after Aladna. I'm not sure how to spell that, but apparently she's going after that planet to steal their water. And then I guess there's like a twist here where Carol is actually a princess of this planet, Aladna, and she had married to this guy named Prince Yan in some kind of like diplomatic mistake. And everyone on Aladna sings as a way of communicating. We saw a rumor about this previously, so this isn't out of the ordinary. Brie sings too, apparently. We've seen this also in the trailers, like the dance segment. Apparently, she does actually have a lovely voice, but it's an awful sequence overall. Just dance sequences in general in a superhero film, I think, are just kind of ridiculous. I know they might have worked, I guess, for a little bit on the CW, but I think for the most part they're stupid. They did it in Hawkeye, and it looked dumb there, and this just looks even worse. I guess they did one in Eternals too. I don't know. I haven't seen that film either, so I wouldn't know, but I think they did. Apparently, she does actually have a level. Okay, we read that. They realize the planet is Dar-Ben's next target. Aladna is, and have to go there to help fight her to protect the planet and stop her rampage. Then you get like this kind of like bonding sequence with Carol like talking to Monica and talking about Kamala, and apparently they have to like there's a sequence with Kamala where she like froze up and Carol yelled at her. So Carol's getting advice from Monica on how to deal with Kamala and like letting her know she's not a soldier. And then Monica and Carol have conversations about how Carol left and never came back. And they're all kind of like working out their issues. It just sounds really boring, and probably people will go to sleep during this sequence. But that's what he says happens. And then it's later revealed that Carol did go back and visit Maria more than once. So I guess Monica's a dipshit, is what he says. What Mr. A's review says. That seems weird. Sounds like they're retconning the first film too. So again, Marvel doing Marvel things, I guess. He then says, so Prince Yan doesn't actually like Carol that much. He and Carol are married, but Carol and Prince Yan seem to have a very platonic friendship and mutual respect. I guess when he says doesn't like her, he's talking about loving her and stuff like that. Nevertheless, Carol is very embarrassed about it and reluctant to visit Aladna. It's played like she didn't understand the customs and accidentally got diplomatically married to the prince at some point in the past. Citizens on the planet, however, do worship her as their princess, and Prince Yan himself is cool and allegedly is not played as a goofy type. So that's cool, although it's a really weird and awkward sequence that goes on for entirely too long. So bad pacing. Monica is weirded out by it just sounds bizarre. Kamala is excited, and then Monica asks if Kamala is going to put this in her Captain Marvel fanfiction, and Kamala says yes. Mr. H reviews did kind of like sarcastically says it's not really fanfiction if it's actually happened. So I think he's right there. But again, Marvel being Marvel, right? This is what we now expect from Marvel. Crap and garbage. Nothing like the past where we saw things like Winter Soldier, which was not crap and which was not garbage, which was actually really good. Next, he realizes Carol realizes that she's going after every planet that Carol has ever called home in an act of revenge. Earth is the last part of the plan. Meanwhile, Fury takes the Khan family up to the space station to keep them protected so he can monitor the situation from there. That just seems like weird. I don't know why you would need to take them to the space station because you would think they would attack the space station first if it's there to protect the planet. Seems like you're putting them on the front lines and more in danger. Again, Marvel being Marvel. There's a side plot on the space station with Fury. Some techs find some weird eggs, and they're like, oh, MG, there's an alien infestation. It's not. It's just Flurkin kittens, basically. That's for the wine ants, I guess, and the cat lovers. Later, the Flurkin was like one of the dumbest things from the first movie, especially when it scratched Fury's eye out. That was so stupid. Later, the space station is damaged by Dar-Ben when she attacks Earth in the climax of the film. Yeah, so clearly, who would have thought the space station gets damaged by Dar-Ben because it's there protecting Earth? Who would have thought that the space station is protecting Earth would get attacked first? Shocking. and there are not enough escape pods to get everyone off the station before it crashes. So Fury comes up with the idea of feeding everyone on the space station to the Flurkin kitten, then putting all the kittens on the escape pods and getting to Earth that way. It's amusing, bizarre, and the whole film has a bizarre tonal clash between a standard Marvel movie and something goofier like Guardians. That's what the director said. So that shouldn't be surprised about the tone, but the idea that the Flurkin now like whales from like like in Jonah, or like the fish. Like, I thought the Flurkin actually ate you. Like, that's what they showed us in the first Captain Marvel movie. The Flurkin actually eats people. Now I guess they're like Jonah and they can just hold on to you and transport you. Stupid. Marvel being Marvel, right? Contradicting previous canon and previous rules of their universe. So after opining on how boring and terrible the movie sounds, which it does, it sounds absolutely awful. He then as Monica and Carol go to Hala, and it's raining for the first time on Hala. I guess they destroyed Aladdin, right? That's the assumption, right? First time on Hala in the surviving crew are celebrating because Dar-Ben brought them atmosphere and water back to them. Carol realized that the Annihilator is an accurate moniker from their perspective. She destroyed this planet, and the survivors are struggling, and she's a great villain in their eyes, and she has a moral reckoning. Stopping Dar-Ben means destroying Hala all over again. Monica then gives her a pep talk that basically amounts to, we can't save everyone. We have to let Hala be destroyed again. Carol reaffirms her desire to stop Dar-Ben. In addition to Dar-Ben destroying planets, her creation of portals makes the universe unstable. And here we have the multiverse crap, increasing the likelihood of an incursion, which is another reason that they have to stop her. So just, again, this looks more like WandaVision level of storytelling, where Wanda's like literally a villain, has no reckoning, and then they make her even more of a villain in Doctor Strange: The Multiverse of Madness, and now she's apparently dead, or who knows what really happened to her. So it looks like they're doing the same thing again, where these female characters can do these awful, heinous things and are just kind of rewarded for it. So, and it looks like it's hilarious that Monica did it to Wanda, and now she's doing it again for Carol. Like, they like run out of ideas. They're literally just copying their own garbage storytelling from previous shows now. It's just, the state of Marvel is awful. And then the whole like incursion stuff. Who really knows how any of this multiverse stuff works? I mean, obviously you could travel back in time with the Time Stone. One would assume, I haven't watched Doctor Strange: The Multiverse of Madness. Obviously you have, I would assume America Chavez is able to create portals. You had Wanda creating portals. They were jumping through portals and stuff like that. So one would think there was already things like that already happening. And now obviously they're creating another way to create portals that I guess are creating incursions. But who really knows how any of this stuff works? They don't really explain any of it. And it just sounds like a tie-in to sell the next film. Because that's all these films really are. They're just commercials for the next movie. They don't really actually tell a solid, interesting story like they used to. Mr. H then concludes, an incursion happens in the climax. Carol fights Dar-Ben while Monica and Kamala try to fix the incursion. Monica ends up flying through this tear in the universe and fixes it on the other side and ends up stuck in that universe. Clearly, if this is going to be a lead into like Deadpool 3 or whatever they have planned to like go into the Secret Wars with all the incursion stuff that they're likely to do, then one would assume that there's going to be other ways to like get through and stuff like that. But who knows? But that is basically what happens in the Marvels, according to YouTuber Mr. H Reviews. I definitely recommend you check out his video on it as well, and his commentary. But this just sounds really absolutely awful. And is anyone really surprised that it sounds awful? Marvel is truly bankrupt. They have run out of ideas, and I don't think that there's going to be any course correction anytime soon, because they have sold their soul to ESG and DEI. And when you do that, you just don't have people of talent actually working on and creating these movies and television shows anymore.
Subscribe for more.